Is there mold in a campus residence hall? We'll tell you how the university is responding.
'Tis the season for holiday music in Evanston.
And another Northwestern fraternity suspended. I'm live on Ridge with the details.
We'll have those stories and more coming up on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news right now.
Good evening, I'm Hyojung Kim.
And I'm Alexa McHale. Thanks for joining us. Weinberg sophomore Daniel Jessel was found dead in his Kemper Hall dorm room on Wednesday last week. The Cook County medical examiners identified the cause of death to be suicide. Jessel was from Delray Beach, Florida. Dean of Students Todd Adams notified students via email that night. In addition to offering his condolences, Adams said students should offer support to their peers. He also encouraged students to reach out to their professors with finals approaching. Adams urges students to contact counseling and psychological services if needed. The phone number for CAPS is 847-491-2151. A vigil for Jessel will be held tomorrow at 6 p.m. in Scott Hall.
They have suspended a Northwestern fraternity. NNN's Joey Safchik is outside of the Pi Alpha Phi house, which Pi Alpha Phi no longer occupies.
University officials announced that multicultural fraternity Pi Alpha Phi has been suspended for 3 years. The suspension is actually based on an infraction that took place last spring when Pi Alpha Phi was on probation for breaking rules regarding alcohol. They violated that probation by providing alcohol on Dillo Day 2018 when they served drinks to minors. Now, the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life says that not all student organizations in this position would be suspended, but because Pi Alpha Phi was already on probation when this infraction took place, they were suspended, which is pretty standard in that scenario.
So, and Joey, if the violation took place last year, why are we just hearing about the suspension?
Yeah, that's a great question, Hyojung. Now, because of the timing of Dillo Day, which is so close to the end of the school year, the investigation wasn't concluded until fall of this year. According to school policy, the suspension prevents the organization from recruiting or conducting any activity on campus. Pi Alpha Phi's president at the time of the suspension, Kevin Chen, says that the university told him that a student was hospitalized at the Dillo Day party and that might be why they took such strict action. He says he wasn't aware of the hospitalization and doesn't know who the student was, but he was aware that he was taking a risk when he threw the Dillo Day party in the first place.
Because it's Dillo Day, even if we did get in trouble, the university would be a little more lenient because we didn't think that the student conduct board would be so naive as to believe that nobody underage drinks alcohol on Dillo.
And this isn't the first controversial fraternity suspension this year. Sigma Alpha Epsilon, or SAE, which is not a multicultural Greek organization, actually returned from their 1-year suspension, which was also for violating alcohol policy while on probation. Now, SAE also had sexual assault allegations against them, but their punishment was strictly for violating alcohol policies while on probation, which is the same as Pi Alpha Phi's infraction, but Pi Alpha Phi was suspended for 3 years as opposed to SAE's 1. So Kevin Chen and his brothers are left to wonder why there's such a disparity in the suspension sentences. We did reach out to university officials for comment, but they would not tell us if it was terms in the policy that led to the disparity.
There has been talk about double standard. In general, their allegations are probably even worse than ours, and then they only got in trouble for 1 year as opposed to our 3 years.
A panel of students, faculty, and staff voted on the terms of Pi Alpha Phi suspension. There are now no Greek organizations on campus dedicated to Asian men. Pi Alpha Phi can petition to return in spring of 2021, and Kevin Chen told me that some of the younger members who were formerly in the fraternity, who will be seniors at that time, are planning to make a return to campus. I'm here on Ridge in front of the former Pi Alpha Phi house. Joey Safchik, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Joey. On November 16th, the U.S. Department of Education, headed by Betsy DeVos, released revised rules for Title IX. Title IX aims to prevent sex-based discrimination in schools receiving federal funding, including Northwestern. The new proposed rules bolster the due process rights of those accused of sexual assault or harassment. They also narrow the definition of sexual assault and would allow schools to increase the amount of evidence needed for accusers trying to prove sexual harassment. According to the current rules, schools investigate allegations of assault or harassment no matter where they occur. New regulations would only make the school responsible for assault or harassment that happens on campus or at programs or activities that are sponsored by the school. Schools would also only be responsible for formal complaints filed through the correct authorities. Member of Northwestern College Feminists, Elena Andrews, says she thinks these proposed rules will not help prevent sex-based discrimination.
I felt really frustrated when I first read the Trump administration's proposed changes to Title IX. I think it really shows a level of ignorance about the purpose of Title IX.
The proposed Title IX rules are open to the public for comment for 60 days after the date they were published in the Federal Register. The Department of Education must respond to these concerns before issuing official changes.
Coming up, find out what some students are finding in their Bob McCulloch dorm rooms.
Winter is coming, or is it already here? We'll see if there's any chance of John Snow in your 5-day weather forecast.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Welcome back. I'm Meredith Sonnefeld, and here's what you can expect in your forecast this week. Winter doesn't officially start for another few weeks, but the temperatures will definitely require some bundling up. Tomorrow we'll have partly cloudy skies with a high of 34 and a low of 28. Thursday we'll have a balmy high of 30 and a low of 18. More clouds that morning, but the sun will come out in the afternoon. Friday will be the coldest day of the week, but no single-digit temperatures yet. We'll have a high of 25 and a chilly low of 18. Saturday and Sunday are both partly cloudy. Saturday is a high of 30 degrees and a low of 25. Sunday is just about the same with a high of 32 and a low of 24 degrees. We saw some light flurries today. The good news is that is likely the only precipitation we'll see this week, but be sure to stay warm and have a happy Hanukkah.
Students are falling ill this season, and it might not be just because of the cold. NNN's Justin Sweetwood has more.
In 2016, the university confirmed that mold was found in Bob McCulloch Hall, and this year, students like Emma Stein are concerned that it's back.
I first realized that there might be mold in my room probably mid-October. I do know several people who have reported coughs and breathing issues.
A handful of students have filed official reports to the university this quarter. While Stein and other freshmen think mold is to blame, Senior Associate Director of Administrative Services Mark D'Arienzo isn't so sure.
During this point of the year in Northwestern's academic calendar, many of our students have already started to feel the effects of stress and just taking ill, so it's hard to gauge what it is.
When the university told Stein that the substance in her room was dust, she turned to a third-party opinion, sending a sample to an independent lab.
I think that it's really convenient for the university to decide that it was dust, so I would say that I was skeptical, but not surprised.
D'Arienzo says the university will help any student who might be concerned about their health.
If they feel that their health is that much in jeopardy no matter what we do, then we're going to offer them a room change and get them out of that environment to see if their health improves.
In the meantime, Stein isn't ruling out mold as a possibility.
If there is mold in your bedroom where you're spending most of your time, I think that completely ruling that out as a cause of an illness is foolish.
Stein says she also found mold-like substances in the bathroom, but will wait to see the result of the test before taking further action. Justin Sweetwood, Northwestern News Network.
Stein says she will receive the test results back within the next 2 weeks.
We wanted to hear your thoughts on the state of Northwestern's on-campus housing, so we asked you in this week's edition of Rock Talk.
I'm Carly Menker, and today we're here at Rock Talk to find out the best and worst dorms on campus.
Rock Talk.
Where do you live right now?
I live in ISRC right now.
What do you think the worst dorm on campus is?
Probably the Fair Children, just because their facilities are not managed well. I've seen a lot of mold in there.
I think the worst dorm on campus is Sargent.
Sargent. Yeah, one time I went in there and learned that they didn't have air conditioning, and it was the summer, and also the room was just really small.
I love NMQ. I actually just moved from Sargent to NMQ like 3 days ago.
What inspired that change?
Yeah, Sargent's just not fun. Lincoln would probably be the best dorm in my opinion.
What's your least favorite dorm on campus?
My least favorite dorm is, I'd say, Bob.
Do you have a particular reason for that?
Because when I went there, it's kind of like, it gets kind of like musty, you know?
Journalist Asia Bandawi visited Northwestern last week to talk about The Feeling of Being Watched, her documentary about FBI surveillance in her Muslim American community. And then Saira Singh spoke with the award-winning director.
The Feeling of Being Watched, a documentary, was screened last Wednesday in the Block Museum, followed by a Q&A with director Asia Bandawi and her sisters. The film follows Asia's 5-year journey as she uncovers thousands of FBI documents that prove her hometown was the subject of one of the U.S.'s largest counterterrorism investigations conducted before 9/11. The event was part of the Block Cinema's year-long screening series, in conjunction with the Kaplan Institute's Security Dialogue series.
It's been amazing. We had like a packed house yesterday. There were so many people that were turned away at the door because we were sold out. And it was amazing to have like a packed room of more than 200 people for the screening, and everyone stuck around for the Q&A. We had such an engaging discussion.
Bandawi was invited to Northwestern by political science professors Elizabeth Shackman-Hurd and Brandon Ingram, who both teach the Reporting Islam course. Hurd and Ingram say they invited Bandawi because they wanted to create an engaging way to teach their students about reporting on religion.
We thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we could show this documentary, which takes place here in Chicago and is implicating a lot of the questions that we're talking about in the class around Islam and Muslims in the U.S.
The film takes place in Bridgeview, Illinois, a town 13 miles from Chicago. Professor Hurd says members of this community were in attendance at the screening.
It was an intense viewing. There was a lot of emotion, a lot of excitement, a lot of laughter, a lot of tension, even some tears. And so it was a really impactful evening.
Asia also visited the Reporting Islam course, followed by a reception for her with students and faculty. Saira Singh, Northwestern News Report.
After the break, find out why science tells us we're not actually supposed to enjoy coffee.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
It's the most wonderful time of the year again, and the Evanston Symphony Orchestra kicked off the season with their holiday concert on Sunday. NNN's Tiffany Sue was there.
Music was in the air Sunday at Evanston Township High School, where the Evanston Symphony Orchestra put on their annual holiday concert in collaboration with groups including the Evanston Dance Ensemble, Evanston Symphony Holiday Gospel Choir, and the North Shore Choral Society. The auditorium, which seats 1,400 people, was nearly full as Evanston residents gathered for a fun, festive, family-friendly performance. Apart from the conductor and general manager, Symphony Orchestra board members and performers are all volunteers. Violist and board member Penelope Sachs has been involved with this show since it started about 15 years ago.
It is a really happy show, and we've made a big effort to really try and reach all parts of holiday.
Along with music, the show also featured a number of dance acts by younger performers, from a ballet performance of Hansel and Gretel to a wintry dance to a piece by Prokofiev, an aspect of the show beloved by general manager David Ellis.
A lot of the standard Christmas songs I've heard over and over and over again. So I like usually every year the dance part's different.
The show ended with a Christmas sing-along conducted by Santa Claus and a Hallelujah arrangement with almost 350 people on stage.
You know, the ability to share the joy we all feel at the holiday season with each other, I think, is important. And there's almost nothing more festive than holiday music.
The concert brought the community together and left the audience on their feet. Tiffany Hsu, Northwestern News Network.
You can catch the Evanston Dance Ensemble's next performance from December 14th through 16th at the Studio 5 Performing Arts Center.
A new study might explain why some students are drinking more pumpkin spice lattes this holiday season. Northwestern Assistant Professor of Preventive Medicine Marilyn Korn-Ellis and her research group found that people who are more sensitive to the bitter flavors of caffeine actually tend to drink more coffee. This is possibly due to them associating the taste more with the positive effects of caffeine. These positive effects are psychostimulants that make you feel more alert and energized. The study found that these people tended to drink less tea, but Korn-Ellis says this may have also been an effect of their coffee consumption. She says genetics is to blame for tasting more or less bitter flavors in caffeine.
Our perception of flavors of these different beverages can be different. So my perception of a cup of coffee might be very different from that of yours.
The study found that the opposite is true for alcohol, so people with higher sensitivity to the taste of alcohol tend to consume less of it. After the break, we'll hear from NNN Sports Night's Adam Bronstein about the Cats' visit to the Big Ten Championship.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Northwestern's football team faced off against Ohio State University for the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis Sunday. We're here with Sports Night's Adam Bronstein. So Adam, what can you tell us about the game this weekend?
Well, this was Northwestern's appearance in the Big Ten championship game, and they were taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think my biggest takeaway from it is that Northwestern still has a ways to go to really be in the top tier of the Big Ten. Northwestern had a great season this year. They went 8-5. They won the Big Ten West. That's always one of the first goals for the program, to win the Big Ten West and to go to Indianapolis and have a chance to win the Big Ten. However, Ohio State clearly showed they were just a better team. Northwestern's defense really wasn't able to get any stops. And despite the fact that Northwestern put up such a good season, I think it shows how far Northwestern still has to go, because Northwestern was able to get a few plays here and there on offense, but just about nothing on defense. And I think this shows that Northwestern's had a ton of success, but to really make that next jump, they're still a ways away. We'll see what Coach Fitz and the rest of the coaching staff decides to do in future years if they try to make any adjustments to really compete with this upper echelon of Big Ten teams.
And Coach Fitz was named Big Ten Coach of the Year. How has this affected the program?
Well, that's definitely been a big announcement for the team at the game when they announced it. The fans were going crazy, both Northwestern and Ohio State fans. Coach Fitz has really earned a ton of respect, both for himself as a coach and for Northwestern as a program. The question kind of comes up, though, can Northwestern take that next step? I'm a senior here, and during my 4 years, Northwestern has kind of been in the same area, always doing very well, having strong seasons, but not quite competing with the top teams in the Big Ten. For them to do so, Fitzgerald has a lot of work ahead of him. For Northwestern to be able to compete with schools like Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, that's an uphill battle that Northwestern has never won before. And things are changing at Northwestern. Northwestern football continues to do things that they haven't done before. Fitz winning Big Ten Coach of the Year is certainly one of those things. His first time in 12 years, a lot of people say long overdue. Can Northwestern continue to take other steps like that and break new ground? That remains to be seen.
So, and finally, since Northwestern will be attending the Holiday Bowl, do you have any predictions for that?
Absolutely. So it should be a really interesting game. Northwestern went 8-5, and Utah went 9-4. So both teams roughly had similar seasons. Utah comes into the game as, I believe, 6.5-point favorites or so. So nothing too crazy there. Maybe a slight advantage for them, the game being in San Diego. And also, will Northwestern fans, a lot of who just took the trip to Indianapolis, make the trip to San Diego? I doubt the turnout will be quite as good for Northwestern in there. However, I think Clayton Thorson is going to have a really big game. This is the final game of his college career, and he's done so much for this Northwestern program. Despite maybe not progressing to the level that Northwestern fans would have hoped for, he's probably not going to get drafted quite where he would have wanted, but a strong game in the Holiday Bowl and then a strong performance in the draft combine could lead to a really strong draft for Thorson relative to where he is right now. So I think Northwestern will win this game in a high-scoring game. I'm going to take them 27-21. Northwestern wins.
We'll be sure to tune into that game on New Year's Eve. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Northwestern students are no strangers to the rigor of the quarter system. NNN's Carly Menker learned more about how the academic calendar could be changing soon.
I have a personal dislike for the calendar. I haven't met one person who enjoys the way that our academic calendar is structured. I'm going to be completely honest. If you can find them, bring them to me. And I'll tell them why they're wrong.
That's Carson Noer, a Weinberg sophomore. He's one student who believes a change in Northwestern's academic calendar is necessary. Noer says he is especially concerned with how the late summer start in the current system does not correspond well with internship opportunities.
I think there's definitely a call for necessary change. It's affecting the students in a lot of different ways. And to me, it doesn't seem particularly helpful to have it on the schedule that we have it on now.
As a solution to these problems, Northwestern has put together a committee to explore new academic schedules. If their plans are approved, fall quarter would start earlier and finals would end before Thanksgiving. The committee would also look into ending spring quarter earlier. The committee has also explored the idea of an optional D term between Thanksgiving and winter break. Students could choose to return to campus and register for one class or participate in unique activities such as internships or immersive experiences. While Weinberg Jr., Rebecca Shum, says she's interested in a D term, she says she appreciates the current fast-paced quarter system.
Focus on 4 classes is really nice. It's easier to manage that workload, but it's accelerated, and I think a lot of people at Northwestern can handle accelerated classes, that's why we're here.
The Assistant Dean of McCormick, Joseph Hultgreave, says he hopes changing the calendar might ease academic and financial burdens on students. But he also says students need to learn how to manage their stress during such a rigorous academic schedule.
Ideally, what we want to do is help students manage stress more effectively, because ultimately one of the people who really love the quarter system, from what I hear and the feedback I receive, is our employers.
Holtgrave says he believes while a D-term could be beneficial, it could also just add to students' stress. Associate Provost Miriam Sharon says changes are only in preliminary discussions at this time and have actually been discussed for decades. She says this time the committee is focusing more on changes to spring quarter. Carly Menker, Northwestern News Network.
Members of the committee declined to comment. So far, information is not yet available on when their findings will be released or when changes to the calendar will be implemented.
Coming up, get a sneak peek at the newest video from NNN's Catnip.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Go you Northwestern. Go Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Joining us now is Liam Lecca from Catnip, the variety and entertainment branch of NNN. So Liam, we understand you had a chance to show off your baking skills?
Yeah, that's right, or really my lack of baking skills. For the holidays, Catnip invited Medill freshman Zoe Mallon to display her baking expertise. And Zoe is not just a student at Northwestern. She actually owns her own baking company called To Be Gluten Free. I tried to keep up with her in a little friendly competition. We made holiday-themed sugar cookies that were judged based on taste, presentation, and baker's attitude. I may be a bit biased, but it was a close one for sure. Here's a quick look at the video.
Oh my god, did I use a tablespoon earlier instead of a teaspoon?
My mom, my brother, and I, we all had to go gluten-free a couple years back, and then through that we kind of had to relearn how to cook and bake and eat, honestly, because it's just so different. You definitely want the butter to be warm, but you don't want it to be liquid, because if it's liquid, the cookies spread.
I knew I was not going to be the winner going into this. I wanted to give a valiant effort, but it is happening the way that I expected it to.
Which one's the Christmas tree and which one is the snowman?
You know, I couldn't tell you. The full video will be up on Friday. You can watch it on our Facebook page by visiting facebook.com/catnipnNN. Like our page to see all of our videos and to get your fix.
Well, that looks like so much fun, doesn't it, Alexa?
I always love a good sweet treat. Well, that's all the time we have tonight. For all of us at NNN, I'm Alexa McHale.
I'm Liam Lecca for Catnip.
And I'm Hyojung Kim. Thanks for watching.